Hi guys, Jordan from B&B Campers. Just going to do your handover video on your Wellhouse Matino. So you see here, brand new, unregistered. So yeah, start around here. In fact, no, I'll tell you what, we'll start around under the bonnet, which is probably easiest. So on the left hand side, we've got your washer fluid reservoir here, engine coolant. Just there, you can see there it's at the right level, engine's cold, so that's how we would check that. Engine oil goes in through this cap just here at the top. You can see there, nice and clean, no sort of milkiness to that. Engine oil dipstick, it's this one just here with the yellow top. Your engine battery is this one over here, so your positive terminal is this one, and you've got the negative terminal just here if you ever needed that. And obviously you shouldn't have to jump start it really, but if you should need to, that's where that is. Power steering fluid sits down here, and your brake fluid sits just up here attached to the servo just at the very back there. In fact, yeah, actually the servo is there just behind a little bit of cover. So that's all the bits and pieces under the bonnet. The bonnet release is just down here inside the near side door. So if you need to get to that, that's where that is. Coming around to the back. There's not really anything else to show you around the side of the vehicle on the near side, but you've got this here, your external gas point. So if you need to get to that, that's where that is. And also at the back of the van, just whilst we're here, your LPG locker is this one just here. So push on the button there, same as all the other cupboards. So all you need to know really is that you've got two gas isolator valves just here on the right. And to turn the actual gas bottle on, you go anti-clockwise around to the left, and to turn it off, you go clockwise around to the right. So for the time being, I'm going to leave that on. You can get to the locker from inside here if you should ever need to for whatever reason. So if you just needed to quickly turn the bottle off, you can get to that from inside there. I think that's if, you know, I'll put that back on properly in a minute, but I think it's because if you've got the bed back here set up and you can't get to the gas locker and you need to get to it quickly, then you can just do that quickly by using the bit back here. Sorry, I need to do that with two hands, so I'll do that in a minute. Hookup point is this one just here, so your hookup goes in there. Once you plug the hookup cable in, you'll have access to your two 40-volt sockets and anything that runs from the mains. I'll show you a bit more about that when we get on the inside. At the back here, you've got your freshwater inlet. So your fresh water goes in there. So actually that little bit there is supposed to be in here. So let's just pop that back in there. And that should go on there properly. Okay. So here is probably the back of your fridge, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so you can't get into that because that's the back of your fridge. And you know, water pump and things like that are all in there. Little bit of space here for storing bits and pieces. Now I'll just show you in the actual cab. So being brand new, it's obviously got lots and lots of really nice extras. You know, a little bit of storage up here if you need it. You've got a couple of bits and pieces that you won't be able to see without me turning the engine on. So if I just do that now, turn the radio down. So you've got the heads-up display, which comes up just there. And you can probably see there, it's got a little 0 miles an hour. If you have a destination set on the sat nav, it will show you sort of like arrows and things like that to show you where to go as well. To actually adjust that, you've got this little dial down here. So if I show you there, look, if you can just about see the number, I can move the number around so that it's easier for you to see. Wherever it's easier, you can move it to. So that's totally up to you. Wherever it's easier to see, then you can move it with this little joystick just here. So yeah, that's all of that. You got brightness, so you can make it brighter or dimmer. Totally up to you. So that's how you do that. It's obviously an automatic gearbox. It's actually like almost like a direct shift gearbox, so it's really fast changing, really quite powerful actually. I've driven one of these exact same ones back down from Barnsley, where we get them from, and you know, so nice to drive. I would always choose this over another vehicle if I was going to choose which one I could drive. So foot on the brake, we're in park at the moment. If you want to get it to go into drive, all the way down to D, and it'll basically just pop you in D1, which you can see there, and then you're in first gear. Then all you have to do, as you probably expect, is just drive away. Neutral, it then tells you on the dash there you're in neutral. Reverse, you got all your sensors, and back up to the top for park. When you're in drive, you can also use your flappy paddle gearbox, well, flappy paddles for changing gear. So you've got down gear, up gear, and like I said, because it's like almost like a direct shift gearbox, they work really well. If you want to just quickly kick down a gear or two, you can do it from that. It will kick down on its own, obviously, being a proper automatic gearbox. It will do that on its own if you should need it, but you know, that's just down to you and how you'd like to drive it. Now you've got the 260 miles from new. That's just our delivery mileage, and you've got about 1/4 of a tank of fuel in the tank as well. So I can probably, in fact, we'll go through a few bits on here. So at the top here, you've got, I'll just move that out of the way for a second. So you've got stop and start on the top there, adaptive cruise control. So the cruise control is via this little one down here, so you can sort of turn it on. You've got a gap up here, so gap, because it's adaptive, what it actually does is it basically uses its cruise control via the car in front of you. So if you set it, it will basically just keep you in line with the car in front. So that's what makes it adaptive. Parking sensors, blind spot monitoring, so that's your mirrors have got the little bits and pieces on them which show you when you can and can't change lane. If there's a car alongside you, it'll tell you. Traction control, under inflation diagnostics, so you can go through there and you know, it will tell you what's going on. Vehicle state, what's that there, wheel pressure, tire pressures, all of your radio settings. So you've got what band, AM, FM, DAB, all sorts of stuff on there. Sat nav, really nice, high quality navigation, so you can search for a sort of destination, point of interest, all that sort of stuff. It's all there. So you can create profiles on here if you want to. Apple CarPlay, Android, all of that sort of stuff. You've got Bluetooth. So it's pretty much everything you can imagine on a brand new vehicle, really. It's got it all. I think it's got folding windows, mirrors. There you go. So push down on here, opens it up. You can also adjust the mirror, so push it over to the right and then move this if you want to adjust the right hand mirror, and then vice versa, you know, on the left as well. Indicators and lights are on this left hand stalk, and obviously, like I said, your cruise controls on the bottom left one, washers and wipers on the right. You've got air conditioning, which works from this button just here, and all of your various heating controls are there. Hazard lights works from the button just there. You have got 12 volt power just in here, and a USB point there as well if you need that. Yeah, there's all sorts. Great big glove box in there with your towing eye in there, and the original Pro Ace fan sort of owner's manual. So yeah, other bits and pieces, you've got the light up here. Yeah, all sorts really. So I'll switch it off now, and then we can go around. So obviously, like I said, you have the start stop system, which you can turn on and off from inside the actual menu. But it will literally, when you get up to a traffic light, it will just turn the engine off. And being an automatic, in a manual with start stop, the engine would start back up as soon as you touch the clutch or the brake. But in an automatic, what happens is, the second you let your foot off the brake, it will then just start the engine back up, and you'll just start going straight away. So it's really nice, high quality, really, really well thought out. So other bits that we've got, so I'll show you on the inside now. So as being a Wellhouse Leisure, it's pretty much, you know, top of the top really. As for the sort of small motorhome conversions, really lovely quality inside and out. You've got the 2-burner hob just here with the electric ignition. So push this button here for the ignition on either of these, and then obviously just push and turn whichever one you want to light up. So that's there. It's got the original packing there. The sink is obviously self-explanatory. You just pull that up and it will just pull the water through, as long as you've got water in the tank, which I'll show you how to find out in just a minute. I'll just close that door too. So if you want to check, I'll just take the key out of my pocket a second. If you want to check your battery level, water level, any of that sort of thing, let me just turn these lights off so you can see a bit better. So you've got your control panel just here, which is all like LCD electronic. So you got on and off. Let me just put this up so you can see it a bit easier. On and off up here. Water pump. And then your level settings. So you got 0 in the fresh water, and then half a tank of fresh wastewater. So we'll drain that out. Next, you've got vehicle battery level, 13 volts. That's because I just had the engine running, so it's quite nice and high. Leisure battery voltage, this one just here, so it's at 12.2. So that's just a normal resting battery rate. Mains current, 0, and solar current. So there's a solar panel up on the roof, which is already all wired up, so you don't have to do anything with that. So basically, keep your eye on these levels here, and that's that. Lights, so the top lights button down the right hand side does these over the top lights, so these ones here as well. The next one does, not sure which one that does actually. So the top button actually, there we go. So the top button, you see this light up here, these ones underneath here, and these ones around here are all off. So if I turn that one on, that turns all of these on. And the bottom one here is your dimmer lights, which should be these ones here. So that's how they come on. If we go into the settings, let me just turn those lights off again. Active battery select, so you want to leave that on the L just here, so that's your leisure battery. If you put it over to V, what will happen is you'll start using the lights via your engine battery, which is obviously not ideal because you would end up draining out your vehicle battery and you wouldn't be able to start the van up. So make sure that you leave that on L. Solar battery select, so you can have that on either one. If you leave it on smart, it will just basically fill up the battery that it thinks needs it most. So you can leave that on smart, no problem at all. If you want to switch it over to leisure, then you can do. So if you're wild camping and it wasn't choosing leisure, I would advise you to put it on leisure, so that you keep your leisure battery topped up whilst you're sort of using the vehicle. But if you want to leave it on smart, it's no problem. Next, you've got set dimmer level over here on the right, so you can set how bright or dim these lights underneath here are. And other bits and pieces, backlight level, stuff like that. Just little bits of settings. Time and date, you can set that. And that's it really. So pump, you can turn that off if you're not using it. But otherwise it's mainly just levels down on the bottom left and lights on and off switches on the right. Obviously, like I said, you've got these two switches here which do the main lights. So you've got these ones which are from this right hand switch and these ones from the left. You've also got two USB sockets just there and a 240 volt socket which will only work when your hookup's plugged in, obviously, and a 12 volt socket in there which will work at all times. So the next one I want to show you is this light, just this switch just here. So this is for your fridge, which is the reason why it's got the little yellow light on it. So if I turned this off, when I open the fridge door up, you'll see it's all dark inside and it's not doing anything. If I turn that button on, fridge comes on, and that's it. That's all you have to do. That's it working. There is a little adjuster inside the fridge which you can use to turn it up or down. But basically, if you want to switch the fridge off, just turn this button off here. The way that you need to use the fridges is nice and simple. You literally just turn it on before you go away with all your stuff inside it. And then when you start the engine up and start driving, you just leave it on. And yeah, that's it. You know, the only thing you have to keep your eye on is if you're not going to have a hookup plugged into the vehicle for a long period of time, just make sure that you keep your eye on that battery level if you're going to leave the fridge on. I know that you've got a solar panel on the roof, but you just need to keep your eye on it and just double check your battery level every once in a while, just to make sure that you're not draining the leisure battery out too much by leaving the fridge on. If you have a hookup plugged in, you don't need to worry about the battery voltage at all, because, you know, like I said, if you have a hookup plugged in, your battery charger is on, and you know, you just won't need to worry about it. It'll just keep the batteries top right up no matter what you're doing. So that's the bits and pieces up there. I'll leave the fridge on just for a minute. Just push the bed back a little bit. So in this cupboard here, you've got the freshwater inlet at the back and your sink. So you've got a drain at the top for the sink and, like I said, the freshwater inlet. You've also got the porta potty, which is obviously brand new, it's never been used, so that fits in that cupboard really nicely. Up here you've got a huge amount of storage underneath here. This little vent down here is for your Webasto diesel heating, which I'll show you how to use in just a minute, but I just thought I'd show you a few bits and pieces here first. So loads of storage. Water pump is just there, and the filter for that is right there, so you can get to that nice and easily if you should need to, but you shouldn't need to for any reason really. If I just keep pushing the seat back there for a minute so I can show you a few bits in here. So you've got really nice and simple, you've got a couple of fuses just up here which should be to do with your fridge and your split charger. Split charger is quite easy to explain. So you've got your engine battery, which when your engine's running is being charged up constantly by your alternator, just like any, you know, any usual car. What a split charger does is it takes power from that power that's going from your alternator to your engine battery. So whilst your engine's running, it takes power from there and goes directly through to your leisure battery. So whenever you're driving, your leisure and your engine battery are both being charged up. So that's why you can leave the fridge on whilst you're driving, and that's also why your battery voltage on your leisure and your engine will be nice and high when your engine's running and you're driving. You've also got a solar regulator just there, which is what allows the power to come down from your solar panel and splits it off to whichever battery you want it to use, charge up, sorry. You've got your main Sargent unit here, so you've got a variety of 12 volt fuses in there and your 240 volt trip switches over on the right hand side. So the actual unit itself has been really nicely sort of stowed back like that. So yeah, that's nice and simple. The little vent up there is actually just for this, because the charger itself sits inside this unit here. So Sargent is a typical standard thing that they use. A lot of auto trails use them as well. So when you plug a hookup into the van, you probably get this little green light here come on, and it just says underneath it charger. So essentially when you plug the hook up in, the charger switch on. That just means that your charger will be working straight away. So that's that. That's the all of your electronic bits and pieces in there. So it's all sort of nicely stowed away in the one cupboard. You have got the ability on the Webasto. I think this is all to do with that. You can actually sort of connect it up to your phone, I think. So that's all up there if you should need that, or if you wanted to use that, it's up to you. This bit here is the thermostat for the Webasto, and this is what sort of connects it up, I think, to your phone if you should want to do that. Don't hold me to that because I'm not 100% sure, but I think that is what it is. But anyway, the Webasto itself, which is what this little dial is down here, is really, really simple to use. All you need to sort of be sure about is that you've got at least 1/4 of a tank of diesel in the tank before you start trying to use this. The reason for that is they usually have like a sort of a fail-safe thing where they won't work unless it's got a certain amount of fuel in it. But just in case it doesn't, if you use this on nearly an empty tank, it could possibly just use up all of your diesel, and then you wouldn't be able to start the van or, you know, drive the van. So it's really important that you just make sure that you've got at least 1/4 of a tank of fuel before using this. But otherwise, turn it on, you get a little, so straight away I want to turn that down and make sure that it's off. All right, so let me show you how it works. So you come on, you get this little home screen. You've got one to the right which says ventilation. Press on that and you can just choose which level of ventilation. Press it again and you get a little blue light come on there. Essentially what happens is you just get cool air pumping around through those vents, that little vent down there. All right, so the blue light means just fan only. Turn that off. If you get the white light again, it's all off. This one in the middle there says heating. Press that in once, turn it up to whatever temperature you want it to get to, and then just click it again. And then you should get the green light coming on. Once the green light comes on, your heating will start working. And then after about 5 or 6 minutes or so, you hear a bit of a ticking noise outside. And then basically the heating will just start coming through into the van via the vent down there. So we can turn that off. And that's it. That's literally the way that you use your heating. Really, really quick, really simple. And that's it. So that works via your diesel tank. You do need to make sure that you've got a bit of power in your leisure battery before you start trying to use this, because it will drain, you know, well, not drain, but it will use quite a lot of power up. But yeah, that's the Webasto heating. It's nice and simple. You can turn the fridge switch off if you're not using it, which I'm obviously not at the moment. And yeah, so I've shown you your fridge, the 2 bits at the top there. It's really important as well that you turn your gas off before you start driving anywhere, because, you know, there's pressurized gas. As soon as you turn the gas on, there's pressurized gas at any of the gas appliances in the van. It applies for any van at all. Once you've got that on, like I said, you've got your pressurized gas, and then if you had a crash or anything like that, then basically you've got pressurized gas at all of the points. If any of it was to sort of split, then obviously the last thing you want is gas there for any reason. So make sure that you turn the gas off before you start driving and before you start, you know, anything like that. You've then got, well, there's only a couple of other bits I want to show you. The bed over the top, you have got a couple of lights up there as well. There's a little switch just down here, which I believe, there you go, does those lights just there. So that's this switch just down here. Don't even know if you can see it. There you go. That's that switch there, does your lights at the top. These lights here have got a little USB socket on the side of them if you wanted to use those. And they're just touch screen to get them to come on and off. So that's those. You've got the little mattress up here on the bed already. So that's that material. And then this hooks up to the top if you wanted to use it properly and give you a good bit of tension there on that. So, but that's up to you. You don't need to use that, obviously, if you don't want to. I'll turn that light off. The bed is nice and simple. They're quite hefty to move backwards and forwards, and that's because they're a nice quality bed. So when you get the seat wherever you want it to be, I'll just put it back a little bit. Whenever you get it to where you want it to be, all you need to do is get it to a place where it will actually go down, and then just push it all the way down like that. When you want to lift it back up, you need two hands really. You just need to push down on this a little bit and pull this little bit out whilst you're pushing down, and then it will just lift up on its own, so you get to this position here. Once they're both in that upright position, you just be able to move it wherever you want it, or close them all the way down like that when you're ready to drive off. Got a little bit of extra storage underneath here in case you weren't aware of that. But when you lay the bed down, this little insert here basically just creates the extra part of the bed. So yeah, all you need to do before you start driving off, turn all your light switches off, turn the main power switch off, make sure that your diesel heating is off. If you want to leave the fridge on, keeping everything cool, you can just leave that switch on like I showed you before. Turn your gas bottle off and make sure all your windows and things, like I said, are down. When you pull the roof down, you've got a couple of bits here which are like extra safety parts. Obviously, like any other roof, you just pull it down and then tighten up these straps as tight as you possibly can. But you have also got these here which go into these little seat belt points. So they're like a double extra safe, you know, means that you definitely won't be able to have the roof come flying open on you, basically. You have also got these little vents just here. I'm not sure. There you go. So these little vents just here. The front one isn't actually a vent, it's just got the material there, so you can see through it. Lets a load of light in if you wanted that. Close that back over like that, and then the sides have got exactly the same, except from the sides are netted, so this actually lets more air through, basically. So this is just like a fly screen sort of material. So if you want to open them up and let a lot of air through, I'd advise you to open these sides up. Bit of extra storage up here on both of these. But yeah, they're sort of soft closing, like that. But yeah, so I think I've shown you everything I can really on it. Yeah, I'm not sure what else there is to show you. So, I know that you've already been down and seen the van obviously before and chosen it out, but you know, it's going to fly through all of our bits and pieces. In fact, it already has. Had the habitation check and things like that, the PDI, everything was absolutely fine on it. But yeah, so if there's anything at all that you think I've missed out or anything you want going over again, just let us know. But yeah, we look forward to seeing you soon to collect your van. Thanks very much.